a meal of red pepper and burgers on biogas, but this time we're doing our cooking on the floating IBC tank gas. So this biodigester, that's the incinerator food grinder where we grind our food, we feed the digester, the overflow spills in over there to help get that extra gas percentage that might still be in undigested material. So it flows into the second IBC, which has the floating IBC tank in it to store the gas. The gas comes out there. And this time what we've done is we have put the solar hot water system onto the floating IBC as a support. So the hot water barrel is on top of that cage, and we have the panel here. Ideally, this would actually go on top of the digester because that restricts this thing from floating up because it bangs up over there. So this isn't ideal, but it's the way it was, and these things are heavy and filled with water, and we didn't want to drain them. So we're doing our experiments this way, but again, we would use the digester to hold the solar hot water tank and the solar hot water panels. And then the other advantage is we'd be able to put solar hot water when we have it in excess directly into the digester to increase the digestion rate. But it's over the floating gas holder, whose temperature doesn't matter. We can still run hot water, and we will, from here into there. Probably just put it down through here. But we want to see how much this amount of gas, which is approximately one ridge, right? These IBC tanks have ridges, as you can see. There's a ridge there, and that's about how much gas we have. Let's figure out how long that lets us cook for. And it took a while for the spring to catch up and this thing to start producing, because these little digesters do get cold over the winter. It's not that Florida has extremely cold winters, but anything below, 15 degrees Celsius is going to shut down completely and hibernate, and really wants to be up at body temperature to do much. So we don't have a lot of gas in here. We got about whatever that is, 8 inches or so, 10 inches of that floating in there. But it is something, and we're coming out of the manifold there, through here, and then down this way, and then over to the sulfur filter, and then to the aquarium pump, which is really unnecessary because we could use bungee cords to provide the pressure, but we're going to use the pump, and then it goes into the stove. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in the pump. And as I said, you don't have to use a pump. You can use bungee cords with a floating IBC digester. That's a Solar Cities revelation there. And then I'll turn on the gas and light her up. Aha, I know why that's not working. Haha. Excuse me, but I didn't open up the valve. So let me get here. And let's open up that gas valve. So, where is it? Put it down here for a second and open. There we go. All right, now the gas valve is open, and we'll come here and light our gas. There we go. Whew. All right. So a lot. So we bring that gas flame down. You can hardly see it. It's so clean. And of course, there we go. Beautiful gas. And we started this flame up at about 4:05. 4 minutes and 5 seconds. So let's see how long this lasts. Again, we're coming for the burgers here. We're coming out of the stove to an aquarium inline pump, sulfur removal filter, plastic hose going to the floating IBC gas holder. Like that. And we're still at about that first ridge. So that'll be good to figure out ridge-wise. See, these ridges here are what I'm talking about. It's just that this has been rotated over to fit inside the IBC cage, and then it's been bowed out over here. A lot of this information's in Janice Kelsey's book from Solar City's Biogas Education. All right, so my estimate is it's probably going to give us anywhere between 20 and 30 minutes on this, which will be plenty for what we're trying to do. As you can see, I'm going to go ahead and throw these in. And we will now time how long the gas lasts. So this will be a very boring movie, but that's what we do. We use video documentation so that we can go back through the archives of YouTube and Facebook and actually have some data to work with that we're gathering very informally, but which is valid because they're easy to search. YouTube has a great search algorithm. Facebook has a great search algorithm. So unlike back in the day when I was doing my biological anthropology field work and hauled a video camera out to look at a harbor seal, I had to log all those tapes and stack them up and then try to figure out which tape had what and label it. And you had to scroll because it was actual 3/4 inch videotape. You have to load the videotape up, let it mount, and then scroll through to find the time code. And it was a big pain. But nowadays, we can throw this stuff on YouTube.
You like the tomato roasted, right?
I do like the tomato
roast them a
roasted.
little bit there.
Yeah. We're using, by the way, we're using the gas from the floating gas holder over there.
Nice.
You can see it got one ring, like a ridge up. I thought it was leaking this whole time, but it's not for some reason. So it is from this biodigester by the house. So that's a good thing. Right. I think I'm going to say in the Earth Day presentation I give, it's on Thursday, on climate action, I'm going to say if anybody still has food waste, they're just plain stupid.
Any day should be Earth Day.
Yeah, every day should be okay, but there's an amazing number of people who complain and say, we're so tired of schools making every day Earth Day. It's a liberal plot. It's a liberal plot, I tell you, making every day Earth Day. But really, if anybody... I don't know. Mars and Venus may be better off. But anyway, so there's just no... That's true. Now that the spring is here and we're getting good biogas from the floating gas holder, we're in much better shape. Looking here. So far we've been cooking for 4.5 minutes. Yeah. Biogas is so clean and so wonderful and so safe. Estimate is that at this flame height, when you've got this kind of a flame height for biogas, which you can hardly see here, but when you've got that flame height, if the IBC tank floating gas holder, which we have one here and one there, if it was all the way full, it would give you approximately 2 hours of cooking on that flame height on a single burner. If you're using 2 burners, it would give you an hour using both burners. Since today all we have is one ridge of the IBC above water, my estimate is that this would give us about 20 minutes. We're already 6 minutes into the use of it, and we used a bit up when we started. We had it over on high, and we didn't need to, so we wasted a bit of gas there. But my estimate is, yeah, we'll get at least 20 minutes off of this. And you can then multiply that by the number of ridges on your IBC tank. And sort of looking at an IBC, the other orientation, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ridges basically. And if you multiply 6 by 20 minutes, you get 120 minutes, which is that 2 hours that I'm talking about. So that's why we estimate about 20 minutes per ridge. And so this amount of gas here floating, that should be 20 minutes. And we're going to verify that tonight because we're already at 7 minutes. It doesn't even look like it's gone half down. So maybe we get more than 20 minutes. This is going to be interesting to see. Just how many minutes will we get? And that's from usually about a day's feeding on with the incinerator. There's some carrots that we're putting in. I want to point out to anybody who may be watching that when you have your incinerator out in the garden, you don't have to worry about spilling. You can spill all the food waste you want right on the soil, and this is mixed food waste, and it doesn't attract roaches or flies. It doesn't smell. It doesn't create any vermin problem. It turns into soil in 3 to 6 days. So when we're taking this out to feed the digester, if it falls, that's just fine. Now, I do see a little wood roach there, and he actually left all that food waste because he's not interested, or she's not interested. The cockroach, which lives in this environment, is always swarming over here when there's unground food waste, and they will be in here, but as soon as it's ground, they lose interest, as does even the chickens. Have no interest in this, to say nothing of raccoons or cats or dogs or rats or anything like that. So just grinding food waste and letting it spill into the garden, which we've done all over. I mean, that soil there is mostly just food waste that we just dumped there after we ground it up. It's growing this cassava. So you really do not have to worry about anything when you're grinding your food waste. So we just grind it here, and then if it overspills, just fine, and then put it in. There's never any smell. Doesn't look sightly, perhaps, and you can clean it off, but it doesn't create any problems. So about a bucket a day is what will give us that amount of gas, and tonight we're trying to determine how long that amount of gas lasts. So here we are, cooking on it. Beautiful thing. And we're coming on now to, we're at 9 minutes. 9 minutes, and that's probably going to be plenty for this meal, actually. Maybe another couple minutes. We don't want to overcook the burgers. Beef stew. We may have to think of something else to cook just to use up more gas. Or not. But yeah, so far, 9 minutes. And we're getting a good result. A really good flame. Nice and hot there. Now we are at 10 minutes. 10 minutes and counting, like in the James Bond movies. 10 minutes and counting. There's 10 minutes. Let's go check on the gas as we pass the digester. I'm gonna put these things down here. Okay, so 10 minutes, and it's gone down a bit, but we could definitely get another 10 minutes out of this for sure. So I think the estimate of 20 was conservative. Probably this was a half an hour at the flame height that we're using. But if we stop now, we know we'll have at least 10 minutes tomorrow. And of course, we just fed it again tonight. So So I'm predicting that we've still got another 20 minutes of cooking gas in here. But as I say, we fed it today, so there's going to be more gas tomorrow in here. But it only takes 10 or 20 minutes to cook a meal. So one bucket of food waste in your SolarCity's IBC digester can definitely produce at least that 20 to 30 minutes of gas each day, now that the temperatures are back up here in the region of Tampa, Florida. And there's the gas again. That's the flame height we're talking about. And that's not bad. That's pretty substantial. So let's see. This is bison meat, by the way. We are trying to encourage the revival of bison as opposed to European or Middle Eastern cattle. So we're big believers in bison, and we would like to help support Native American, in particular, industries that are bringing back bison, grass-fed bison. That's what this is. Grass-fed bison meat cooked on biogas. So you can't really get more storied than that. Grass-fed bison meat on biogas. And while I'm doing this, I can just meditate all day on the flame because it's so pretty. We are now at 13 minutes coming up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So now we're at 13 minutes of cooking. 13 minutes. At 13 minutes at it, and we see that we have dropped down to there, but still we were up there. Now we've dropped down to there. Easily we've got 10 more minutes, so conservatively estimating that we'd get, at least, as I said, between 20 and 30 minutes. It may turn out to be 25, but we're gonna see. We're gonna see. The gas is just coming through here and into the digester, I mean into the cook stove from the digester. Right? I love how it doesn't make the pot black. No soot like propane or kerosene or charcoal. Just clean, smoke-free, beautiful biogas. No cleaning the pot at the bottom. Just no reason at all to clean the pot. I mean, just look at how clean that is. And there's just no soot because it's biomethane, CH4. So nice and clean. And we are now up to 14 minutes, coming in our 15-minute line. That's probably all we'll need now. And at 15 minutes, we're probably halfway through the gas that we had. Yeah, seems like we're about halfway through the gas. So we probably started out with a half an hour of cooking gas at 15 minutes. We are now at the 15-minute mark. That's 15 minutes of cooking. Let's see if the meal is done. Yeah, I would say that that's done. All right, I would consider this experiment a success. I don't think there's any point in keeping it going, because if we do, then we risk burning the food. So we definitely know that we can get 15 minutes out of about half the gas that we collect in a single day from a single bucket at this temperature, using this digester, grinding our food in this incinerator food grinder, feeding it down the feed pipe here, going into the biodigester here, gas coming out there, overflow going into the gas holder, which is a floating IBC tank in the Solar City's design. It was about twice as high as it is now. When we started, 15 minutes had passed, and now it is half as high. So that means there's another 15 minutes of cooking that we could do on that amount of gas that's in there. Doesn't look like much, but that's 15 minutes. And then we got the solar hot water system and the solar panel. And we'll add a second panel using the biodigester to support it. So it's an economical use of space. All right, time to switch off the biogas, and we will do that from just by unplugging the pump that we use. So let me unplug this here. There we go. And that takes care of that. And now I can close the stove up and let that simmer still. And then go over here and close the valve so we don't lose this gas. We'll have this gas for tomorrow when we want to cook another 15 minutes. And because I fed it just tonight, another bucket of food waste, we'll probably double the amount by tomorrow. So let me turn off the valve here. This valve stays open because this is the valve that is coming from the biodigester and going there. And that's the overflow. So that was that. I'm really happy to see that this is performing again. And I thought I was having leaks in this, but apparently I'm not. Apparently it was just that over the winter, this digester was just too cold to produce a lot of gas. So now that we're seeing that the floating tank is working, I'll check tomorrow morning to see if there's any loss in height. It should look about the same if there isn't, and that would mean there aren't any leaks. And then we'll continue our cooking tomorrow. So I just want to check and see, looking at this. Yeah, this end, because that's a little heavier, is tilted down, and there's the ridge there. So it's down about the ridge. Let's see if it's at that level tomorrow. All right, thanks a bunch. Bye-bye. We know that we got 17 minutes off of what we had. Bye. Yeah.